Well, no, it makes sense anyway. Just to skim, we'll skim through base again quickly.
Okay. Review.
Right. So in Seif 1, we spoke about the biblical part of the prohibition of secluding with somebody with anybody that would be a forbidden relationship. Would they sleep together? So if you can't, that, then you can't seclude yourself together, right? But that's the people who are biblically forbidden, right? And not biblically forbidden, specifically those who are mentioned in the parsha of Arayos, right? Those are forbidden relationships. Right? We said besides for a parent and child, and Bipashtas also a brother and a sister, but only temporarily, not whereas obviously a parent and a child, and it's permanent even on a regular basis, regularly. And that was one. Now we said, we also said that what do we consider married means after they have to have consummated the marriage to be for this purpose to be considered married. Otherwise, even if they did the marriage, all the things, and they're actually technically married, and even they would require a divorce at that point. But if the marriage was not consummated, then she becomes impure before they had a chance to. Then also they would not be able to. They don't sleep in the same room. He sleeps mentioned with women. Then base is that on top of this biblical prohibition of yichud, right, of being secluded with someone, David added on also Jewish available women. I mean, she's not actually right. She's not actually a forbidden relationship.
David Melech and his Bezdin, right? They added right for any. Well, did they any Ashish? No, or it was
no.
It was any even single, right? Even one, right? Even not one of the Arayos, right? They added the Yichud, and then who added nations of the world?
And then Shammai and Hillel added on also a non-Jewish woman. Right. Now, there is no. So what kind of non-Jewish woman is he talking about? Any, because there is no concept of Asian. In other words, to a Jew, there's no real I don't think difference between an Ashish Ish by a guy and a not an Ashish Ish by a guy. They're both prohibited.
Right.
I don't know if one would be any more prohibited or not. But there's no kedushin actually by besides by Yidden. So.
Well, with regards to there's no the way a Yid interacts with someone who's not Jewish, it wouldn't be kedushin. But with regard to Shavah Mitzvahs, there is marriage between the world, right. But it's not what we could call kedushin, meaning even simply just
it's common law marriage,
which means they don't need a specific man of the cloth to marry them, which means even just living together is considered marriage.
They're right. That's an act of marriage.
Mitzvahs, that's considered marriage. If someone who just lives together with another guy,
which is funny, even though in modern day America that almost seems like such a far idea. But if you look at like America of the 40s and 30s and 20s, like in other words, if you look at like what do you call it, like old school conservative
traditional values.
Traditional values is you don't what's it called, right? When you get married, that's when you get with somebody. You don't get together with them before.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I don't even we say, I think they want to talk about like when someone goes into the house, because they would live together when they would sleep together. Today's day and age, you have people who are more independent, especially women who are more independent. You have people who are going steady, who are committed monogamously, but they're not actually living together yet. Meaning, I would venture to say I'm not an expert in these halachas, but I would be curious to know if
what the guidelines are
that would even still count if the couple is.
I'll have to look it up in the Noach Shulchan Aruch.
Yeah, it exists. Anyway,
I wonder if it covers it in there.
Yeah. All right, define. So
okay,
right, makes no difference. Right. Okay.
Anyway, so right. So Shammai and Hillel brought up a non-Jewish woman, and it doesn't make a difference any, right?
Right. Single, not
And
single.
then and so then and base it also talks about anybody who does yichud, right? Who is secluded, does do the how do you call it? Is Ehven on this.
Right. Transcript.
So they would get now any of these, meaning the Shammai and Hillel ones, the David ones, the original biblical ones. What did they get? They would get makas mardus, right? They would get the lashes, the court given lashes,
Stripes.
yeah, and both the man and the woman. And then it says, which is a vague thing that's explained more later, and they announce on them. They machrizna aleim, they like announce publicly regarding them.
So they make it known that they're being punished for it.
Well, they make it known. Right. So that's the question is, what are we talking about there? And if you remember, we it spoke about that the machrizin is, according to the Chelkas Mechekik, it's talking about Eishes Ish. Right, according to the Chelkas Mechekik, I guess he would hold. Well, actually, it's not necessarily what he would hold. He's just bringing up Rashi. But according to Rashi, he says an Eishes Ish, right? A married woman who is secluded with somebody also gets lashes, right? Unlike the Ramah that says, it was the Ramah. No, sorry, it was the Mechaber that says chutz me'eshes ish, besides for a married woman. So according to Mechaber, a married woman does not get lashes. So what he would be talking about, the Mechaber would be talking about, is machrizin is referring therefore to everybody else that you announce. Why? Because you don't want that people should think that that people should think that what do you call it? That they should know that it wasn't that she didn't do anything. She was just secluded with him, meaning she did do something. That's also doing something, but the thing that she did is not is only seclusion, but she didn't have relations, right? Because and this retains her kashrus for that she's still kosher. That means she can still marry whether it's a kohen or whatever it is, as the case may be. Right. Okay, and now according to Rashi, which he doesn't say it straight out, but being that he says that you announce, but it's talking about Eishes Ish, a married woman. So I guess we can. It seems like we could possibly assume that the Rashi must hold that the married woman gets lashes, because the whole point is by the Mechaber, he says, no, she doesn't get lashes. Why? So that the word shouldn't, meaning by the Mechaber, we take even a step further. That right. Not only by a regular person, we announce just to make sure that they know it's for Yichud. By a married woman, we don't even want the rumor to get to go out like this. So we don't even do the lashes at all. The married woman. Why? Because you don't want they should say her children are mamzerim, etc., etc. Fine. So that's where we're holding. And the Ramah added that specifically that you have to know for a fact, meaning you need actually two witnesses. One witness is not trusted for this, and she herself can, even if she herself says it doesn't. This doesn't. You don't get the lashes. However, he says that even so, even if there's only one witness, or she says, or whatever, if Beis Din feels that this is a real thing that happened, then they should take steps to separate these people, almost like, I guess, the Shulchan Aruch version of a PFA or whatever, of like what do you call it, a restraining order, or yeah. Because these people are getting to meaning they're getting to these are people who are
too close, too chummy
together, and they're getting to exactly. And in fact, even nowadays, there's a lot of measures that are taken. If you remember, for example, by we learned with Rabbi Oberlander, right? When we were learning like the laws of modesty or whatever, right? And there's the so he spoke about that in many businesses, right? That they always they don't call, if they have women who work there, they don't call them by the first name. They call even the owner of the business is 70 years old, and there's a secretary in her 20s, right? So he calls her either Miss whatever or Mrs. in her last name.
Right.
Because why? Because it's a matter of keeping it's a professional. It's called. It's not. This is part of this. We don't need to get too chummy here. So, so the Beis Din would take measures to try to nowadays I don't know how much how much jurisdiction Beis Din has to do anything about it really, but at least back then when Beis Din had I guess more jurisdiction and more influence, they would take measures. So we say we're by Chelkes Mecheke Kedalid Vafilu Eid Echad Einei Nemon. Well, let's go. I guess let's do that. Lav Davke Al HaYichud Einei Nemon Vafilu Al Bia Mamish Al Kol Isudin Shabbatayda Eid Echad Einei Nemon Bagchosha. So he's just saying this is nothing. Basically, Chelkes Mecheke says this is nothing new. This is not a chiddush of any sort. Just like most things in the Torah, right? Even though by the halachas of agunis it was different. Why? Because but really the halachas of agunis are special things that were enacted so that a woman shouldn't be stuck, not able to get married if her husband disappear. So fine. So by there but that's the exception is agunis. That's not the rule. This follows the regular rule. Is the general rule is with any sort of thing, any isser in the Torah. Well, I mean, depending. Obviously, there's certain differences. Like for example, here we're talking about, in other words, in order to convict somebody of anything, right? As opposed to like by isser v'heter, we see like for example, if one person says milk fell into this soup, we believe him. Obviously, doesn't mean like It doesn't mean if your wife tells you we ran out of potatoes, so we need to buy more potatoes. You say, wait, 2 witnesses. I can't believe we ran out of potatoes. We need 2 witnesses. But it's talking about for convictions and things like this. We always need 2. So the same thing here. It's a conviction. It's lashes, right? So we don't we don't have a conviction without 2 witnesses, just like anywhere else in the Torah. Then says the Beis Shmuel, Aval he in a menace, right? She's not believed, meaning she cannot incriminate herself in this case. Afilu im tevas esei ve'imeres shahavlad mimenu. Even if she is putting a claim against him and saying that your father, you the daddy, right? Well, so if that's the case, they must have secluded with each other. Right? Because that's her claim. It doesn't make a difference. You need 2 witnesses to convict for yichud, period. So, and even they definitely had relations. So we say that maybe she also put herself out there with other people. She was loose with other people. Vahu pater, and so this particular guy, he is pater. He is how do you say pater? Not guilty.
Exempt, acquitted.
Acquitted. Oh, that's a better word. It's acquitted, actually. Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think acquitted, especially in today's terminology, is good because pater does not mean he did nothing wrong. Neither does acquitted. It just means they didn't find him guilty. Does not mean he didn't do it.
Right. That's why I said not. That's why I said not guilty.
Right. Does not mean innocent. It means they couldn't. It means, they didn't have enough to get.
What's it called? It doesn't meet the qualifications for a conviction. That's what it means.
Right.
Conviction. And right, so he's pater afilu mishvua. He doesn't even have to take an oath. Mishum da Torah because the Torah trusts him. By the way, it doesn't mean he's trustworthy. It trusts him. It means because according to the guidelines in the Torah, he's believed. Now, of course, just remember that still, obviously, based in if they see that they would still take measures. But in terms this we're talking about in terms of convicting him, giving him lashes. Take us what Rivash in Aleph and Beis. So this is what the Rivash writes. Afal gav the im tevas I say shitin law. Eslan, what's that? I guess like the what's it called, alimony or something.
Shubha money.
Chayiv shvua, that he's there. He has to take an oath. Let's see what it gives a maramokim here. Cheshen mishpat. Which of course my what do you call it? My autocorrect wants to read as chosen mishpat.
The chosen mishpat.
The chosen mishpat.
The chosen one. The laws of the Lord.
The law. And 87, and then it's going to be Simchaf 8 in the Haggah. Okay. Okay. Oh. Yeah. I don't see it in there. Anyways, basically what it's saying is that even though there might be another element to this case, right? This element, because it has there's the criminal element, right? And there's the financial element, right? So even in a case where he's going to be required to take an oath regarding the financial element that she's claiming against him, right, for support, whatever it is, still he doesn't have to do a shvuah regarding. You say, oh, wait a second, so requiring him to take an oath about that, so we can already no, this thing he's believed, he didn't regardless. Right, Mikol Mokim ala Vlad, and regarding the child who naman b'lei shvuah, he's believed without an oath. Ein loikin shaloi lohiti laz, right? We said now we've gone back to the Mechaber said that a married woman does not get lashes because you don't want that the bad word should get out. Says the Chelkis Mechekik ve'ein leimar yachrizu shaloi hilku mishum znus rak mishum yichud. So he's saying not like Rashi here, right? He's saying like he's explaining the base. When you don't say, we don't say that. So announce it. Announce that the lashes are not because of, right, that she was that she had a illicit relationships, but rather just because of seclusion. Right, because there'll be somebody who was there. They saw the lashes part, but they didn't see the announcement part. They didn't hear the announcement. This is what it says in Kiddushin there. So that's why. So he's giving the reasoning, even though Rashi seems to say she gets lashes, and you announce to make sure that a bad word doesn't get out. And whereas the Beis Yosef doesn't hold this way, right? And the Chacham Chayk explains why. So what's different by there and by there? Because by a married woman, it's a much more stringent thing. If should a word get out, and it has very big effects, like her kids being mamzerim and things. So you worry even more that maybe somebody will see the lashes part, but won't hear them make the announcement. It says the Beis Shmuel ein leikin mashma the ein leikin eisi. So and it implies that they do not whip. So fine, so don't whip her, right? Because so word doesn't get out. How about him? By him, you don't have to worry about that, right? So in theory, you should whip him. Mashma the ein leikin eisi. Gam hi gam kin in malkin. The sound, so it's mashma from his words, though. Because if you look at the wording, it says im nisiyachid ein leikin. If he
saying
together, then they are not. Then if he is together with her, they are not. They do not get lashes. So it's mashma that both of them do not get the lashes.
Right.
The Bach Medayik,
because
the
I can see further why. Because okay, maybe again the guy came late. He didn't hear the announcement. And
yeah, but it's different because in the case of him,
I'm saying maybe they didn't give her lashes for another reason, but he's still gonna see them as it's the two of them.
Right, but technically, who said if somebody just sees them in the yard getting the lashes, they don't necessarily know why why they're getting the lashes for.
I don't know.
Who says they're at the court together? Who says they let's say they even know what it's for, but they don't know who it's with.
That's the concern, is that it might start a rumor of he's getting lashes. He's getting lashes because he.
In other words, we want to sweep this whole thing under the rug.
Who is he misyachid with? It's going to start. Why is he getting lashes?
In other words, once we started talking.
People ask, what's going on? Why is it? It's like they see an accident on the side of the road. What happened? Right. They say, he was misyachid with somebody. Who was he misyachid with? Oh, Mr. So-and-so. Oh, snap. I'm updated. They must have done it, and now all our kids are updated. Right.
Yeah, once the word starts coming out, it starts.
It doesn't. He shouldn't get lashes either because we don't want to start.
Right, we basically sweep the entire thing under the rug here.
Don't give reason for any speculation. Don't give room for any speculation.
Right. Anyway, that's the mashma.
If you acknowledge it happened publicly, it'll give room to.
It's right. In other words, people start talking about it. That's basically.
Yeah.
And then once they started talking, they'll figure then whatever, and then I know who it's with because whatever. Right.
And I know them. They must have done it. They must have gone all the way.
I'm telling you, that kid looks like.
It looks just like him. It must have been his kid. This must not have been the first time.
Right.
All right.
Then Meister Shahoya. What's it called? I almost got the cops called on me. Not now, many years ago. Why? Whoa. Because Shui, who was then 2, shortly and within probably about half a year or so of his option, had long blonde curls.
Oh no!
And of course, nearly translucent skin, right? and I was in Giant Eagle. I went to Giant Eagle. I'm coming out of Giant Eagle, and he's 2 years old. He's in a mood, right. So I'm dragging him out of there. I have him under my arm, and he's kicking and screaming and right, push it nappy time, Anyway, right. I had people they're already have their finger on their phone. They're already and I can see they're looking Right.
Dark-skinned terrorists just kidnapped a beautiful blonde, blue-eyed.
Osama bin right. By the way, it was right. That would have been probably right after 9/11 too.
Right after 9/11. Everyone's all
January of
paranoid.
99. You figure right, 99, 2002, boom, 2001. It's right around there.
But even before that, people, it's always been a problem, like.
But even even before that, it's. But here,
that's what I'm saying. Even before that,
only
black people know this very well. Like, with a nephew or a niece or a child that's light skinned, can happen, and people just being racist and being like, "Oh, you must have kidnapped that child," calling the cops.
Right.
I think it's racist / uneducated. I think a lot of.
But in this case, thinking back on it, I may have called to someone else. In other words, it's not a matter of even because it could be the other way around. It could be a white guy walking out with a black kid. Right.
Either way, I mean, I feel like it's a beautiful thing that better safe than sorry, and it's wonderful that people are trying to help, and not wanting to let things
for their own. What do you call it? Not just that. Even a white guy with a white kid.
Listen,
if it's a redhead guy with freckles. If it's a redhead guy with freckles and he's dragging out a kid who's a redhead kid with freckles, okay, like the kid looks exactly like but any other case, it doesn't even within the same race, right?
So that I have no problem with. The problem is when people only make the call when it's a dark-skinned adult.
Yeah, right. How do you know? Right. Well, why?
You wouldn't have made the same call if it was a white person. Right. If it was a white person, you would assume that the parents, an uncle, or babysitter.
I'm a racist against white people because for some reason, no, I'll tell you why. Because for some reason, when I picture like a serial killer or a kidnapper, what's it called?
Right.
It's in my brain, it's a white guy.
I forget who it was.
And it's a certain kind of white. It's a certain kind of white guy with like a mustache and like
Right. You know exactly what I'm referring to without even describing it. Right. Now, someone said like that, like, I'm afraid to go somewhere because he was afraid of black people. So this black comedian responded, yeah, that's why I'm afraid to go to movie theaters and public schools. So I don't want to get shot up by a white person with a machine gun.
Right. It's like
it go both ways.
Right. So, but in either case, like in this case, right?
Right.
Well, listen, I'm quite happy that people were getting ready to call the cops. Good. So because God forbid, if it wasn't me, I know they would have called the cops. Right. And now, what in the end, what happened was, right, as I'm walking out, and these people are already getting their phones ready, like, right, because he was in a mood, kicking, screaming, and I'm come on, and of course, I've been dealing with this for 30 minutes inside the store already, so I'm looking like frustrated at him, right? Anyway,
shut up, kid.
The good thing is, then as I'm walking out, I forget who it was, one of the Rabbi Rosenblum Senior or somebody or whatever, right, is walking the other way, walking in, goes, oh Mendel, I see, and then they see that this guy's interacting. This guy knows who I am, and he's not
right, and not a random.
Right, so all of a sudden they put the situation in context for them.
Right. So maybe it wasn't Mrs. Rosenblum doing with time at the door.
I don't remember. I don't remember who it was, but somebody, I had an interaction with somebody.
Right.
And right away you can see all the people who are getting nervous. They're all like, oh, okay, it's like somebody here knows who he is, and obviously it's his kid, right? That's
the chances are that a random person walking in is in on this kidnapping are very slim. So
right. No, not only that, and then with the kid still kicking and screaming, you're stopping to right, and all of a sudden I also stopped and smiled at somebody and like. There's a little bit
right. If he was kidnapping, he wouldn't stop. He would have kept going. Right.
So just put the whole thing in context for them,
Right.
But anyways, so in the same kind of. By the way, I've still had people, which is like you're saying, a little bit of a racist sort of thing, but right. I've still had people, usually like old Russians, because my wife's Russian, so we over the years we've had what to do with different Russian events and whatever, right? And especially I speak Russian, so you have like the older Russian lady who okay, look, you see me and you see her and we're married, right? And you see the kid, so obviously, they're like, so the Russian lady's like, so it's from different marriage, like this is like it's our kid, he's adopted. It's like
Hey,
So
listen, as long
anyway,
as they're not offending Esty and claiming that she stepped out of Haezer or anything, like, that would be
well, that's
offensive to her.
different. So no, for that you have to wait. For that you have to wait till the next kid. Like by us, they look this way, that way. Well, my younger girls not. But anyway, so you can see how easily
Right, rumors can.
this same Russian lady who would then hear that I was secluded with the or whatever, or she was secluded with, you see, obviously the father is the white guy, No, look at
Right,
the
right.
kid. So
Look at
you
a
can
picture of the
see how this
person
works.
Esty used to work with or whatever. Yeah, like,
Whatever it is, right? But once like this story starts getting something gets out,
yeah, so don't give room
and
for
then
it
the
to have
Russian lady
legs.
goes, and then the Russian lady says, "Oh, see, I told you." So this is why
Right.
you don't give not him lashes and not her lashes, according to Bepashtos. But the Bach, however, the Bach, however, well, it's the Mechaber according to how the Beis Shmuel is understanding the Bepashtos, what he's saying. The Bach, however, medayik the Malkin Oisay ve'ein Malkin Oisa mishum laz bonel. That no, we do give him lashes. We were not worried that far that giving him lashes will start the story on her. Rather, he gets lashes. Her, really, she should get lashes because really they both should get lashes. But her, you're worried about the story getting out and that they'll call their kids mamzerim. But you don't
So
go.
she
We're
just
not worried.
narrowly,
Yeah.
she very narrowly escapes punishment. That's the Bach's
Right,
trying to say. Right? Like, really,
right. Just to not, so they shouldn't see her in the yard and say stuff. Him, we're not worried. We're not worried that far about.
if now we're just like, because
According to the
the
Bach.
whole punishment, okay, everyone's fine, go ahead. No. Really, there's a heavy punishment that really she should be getting. And maybe we even remind her, hey, you really should be getting whipped just like this guy, but you're only not getting whipped because we don't want problems for your kids. Like,
Right.
like
So
a good heavy Jewish guilt trip.
exactly. Aval b'didei, but by him, lo yishayich laz on him. There's not there's no it's not what's it called? There's no how do you say shayach here? It's not in English. I call it shayach, but
Not it's relevant. Sometimes
like
relevant.
relevant,
It's not. It's not
pertinent,
fitting.
relevant,
It's
whatever.
not.
Like whatever. It's not. In other words, it's not. It's not shayach.
Yeah. It's not shy.
Right?
It's shy.
Right. Why? Right. It's an English word, shayach. But why? Because
Apropos.
einam yedim im eze ishin is yachid. They don't know when he get. In other words, the problem is not in the Bestin. The problem is they take him out to the yard to give the lashes. Okay, well, they they don't
like
know. So the Bach holds they don't know.
know.
Well, that's according to the Bach. So there's two ways of looking at it.
Right.
Because the Beis Shmuel himself doesn't necessarily seem to hold that way.
Right. But the Bach holds that no, they wouldn't jump to conclusions and figure out who it was that he was jacket with. Okay, it's jacket with somebody. Okay, who cares?
Yeah.
Don't need an. I mean, they're Yidden, and they probably would find out at the mikvah, but maybe they wouldn't even bother to ask. Because who cares who he was like? Not relevant.
Gimel was what? He's going back to that. The Ayin B'Siman HaKedin Sivkot Gimel, see the prior. Okay. Anyway, we're not going to jump to there right now, but it's in the prior siman. There's something connected with this that sounds like it contradicts this. And he says that in that case it's talking about everybody, not just Neish. Anyway, so that's the bottom line. The bottom line is according to the Bach, it's only she doesn't get it, but he still gets the lashes because really she does get lashes, really, just we don't give them to her. So it shouldn't come out there.
Right.
Because I guess lashes was a punishment. I guess that was given out in public.
Right. Well, especially if most of the times we gave people lashes, it accompanies this machrizim, like that it be announced. The whole thing is it's petch, you're trying to
Right.
teach lessons. So
So
usually it makes
part
sense
of it is the
public.
embarrassment of your
Right. It wasn't just like a spiritual tikkun. Like a lot of the einish that's in Torah is that's what the neshama needs to be masak in the aveda. The guf needs to go through something, even if it's misa or whatever. Like that's what it needed to be masak and the fix, rectify the mistake, the damage it made. The spiritual level, that's what the soul needs to
right.
fix that.
Whereas Malkus, especially Malkus Mardus.
Right. That's specifically the rabbi saying we need to teach this person a lesson. So how will we best teach them a lesson? And so usually it makes sense that it would be in public.
Right. So a lot of that is you use, in other words, peer pressure and communal pressure, things like this.
Right, but also to teach other people the lesson not to do this. Like, hey, this is what happens.
Right. This is what happens if you're right. Exactly.
This is what happens when you don't listen to Tati.
Right. The whole Gimel. So that's base. Gimel. The third subsection. Tres. The whole isha she'asa l'siyachadima. So now, every woman, we spoke about all the people that you're not allowed to have yichud with, both biblically and rabbinically, right? All of these people, if his wife was with him, it's fine. So if I'm sitting here in my house and there's a non-child, non-sibling woman in here, my cousin, my first cousin's coming to visit me, right? And we're in the room, we're in the, what's it called, in the house alone, and the door is locked. Problem. If my wife is there in the house at the same time, it's not a problem.
Not a problem.
Right. Because his wife guards him. However, a Jew should not be together with a Jewish woman should not be with a guy. What do you mean? See, he switches the language and he's talking about him. Even if the non-Jew's wife is with him. That's what it's saying.
Oh. Yeah.
A Jewish woman should not be with a non-Jewish man, even if the non-Jewish man, you can say, oh, but he's with his wife. No,
right. So let's say
idea that the woman guards him
with like the cleaning lady and her husband, and they're helping him do something. Still
right. You have which by the way is not so uncommon. You have a couple, they're handymen. They're handy. Yeah. He's gonna come and fix some things around the house. She's gonna come and what do you call it? So you have to keep the laws of yichud. It doesn't mean they can't come, but there's certain things. For example, it's a problem if let's for example, if I
remember growing up.
By the way, the example doesn't work in my house, but
but growing up, the Ferris' cleaning lady, she was the regular lady throughout the week. Come Pesach time, she would bring family to help, to be the extra hands, and sometimes they'd come to our house also to help out. And it would be her husband or her son. Sometimes it was female relatives, but very often it was male relatives. And even though it could be three's a crowd. No, it's still a problem. Very interesting.
Right. See, in my my case, it doesn't really work because I was going to say, like, let's say my wife is at home, and this guy with his wife comes to whatever. Let's use that scenario for something for Pesach, right? So then she said, "Oh, so you can't do it." Yeah, no, you could because if I'm in town and whatever, and the door's unlocked, and there's different things which we'll get to later.
Daytime, nighttime.
Then it's not an issue, but the pashtus. And the reason it doesn't apply is actually I work from home. My wife works outside the house, but she teaches, and I work from here. Anyway, so this idea that the wife guards him only works by a Jewish wife. only a Jewish wife could has that kind of control over her husband that she guards him. Dalit. Ein Meisrin Tinek Israel Lekusi Lelamde Sefer or Lelamde Umanis. We do not give over a Jewish child to a non-Jew to teach him. Sefer means like academic, to teach him academic stuffs, or to teach him umnus, to teach him umanus, like trades. Yeah, trades.
Trade.
Like skills, trades. Yeah.
So apprenticeship.
Yeah. Which, by the way, you should know that there are schools that are particular, even their well, first of all, there's schools that are actually particular as an aside, sort of, but also related. They're particular about not having women teaching the boys and not having men teach girls.
Right.
But there's also schools that even for their English teachers, they hire Jewish English teachers. Now, obviously, that's a lot. That's perhaps a lot more practical in play in, say, New York or LA or somewhere like this than, say, in a place like Pittsburgh, because go find.
Well, they're hiring some.
Go find English teachers who are Yidden, who are willing to put up with whatever the salary is for English teachers, or plus perhaps they have to have the qualifications depending on, I'm not sure, I don't know exactly how all these things work, in terms of because there's different government grants and things and whatever that you
do what you can. You do it if you can, you can. And Baruch Hashem, actually, you see
so
the
anyway,
schools is hiring.
So that's now over here it says pretty straight out. So, but I guess there's further conversation on that.
Right. Interesting.
Because if we are to just go by this if here, then sorry, it's not practical.
No, but hello, that's when it was one-on-one. That's when it was one-on-one.
That's also that's
go
true.
To the.
Oh, very true.
This is now in a school building. The principal, there's plenty. It's not a yichud issue. Then even the school teachers, you went to the school teacher's house. Basha, like everything was.
Yeah, but this seems to not. But why is this a matter of it's it's a boy. It's not obviously a Jewish girl you can't send to learn in his house, but a Jewish.
I think
boy,
maybe they're trying to say, because in context it's in their house, and let's say his wife's around or whatever, or the other family comes up, like is around in the house. Right. Yeah, it would be yichud, even though it's a school and that's how teaching works, and it's a place of business. So you could say, oh, maybe it's not a private domain, but it's still the guy's house, and he might have his wife around or his daughter around, and that's still yichud. I mean, whatever. Maybe we'll see in the Mefarshim, but that would be my guess. Like, that's just what makes sense to me.
Right. Okay, so says the Chelkas Mechaitik on this, that we don't give a Jewish kid to learn by a guy, and by it sounds like he's just bringing a related little sif inside. That's actually not. It's because it's not about yichud here. It looks like Harambam Perchav Beis Din Hey Nasan Tam Mipnei Shekulan Chashudin. He says, why? Because they are all. Oh, maybe actually, I guess it does have to do with it. The Rambam's reason is that they are all suspect. Suspect on what? Al Mishkav Kaleimat Chashudin Al Mishkav Zachar. They are all suspected of homosexuality.
Oh,
if you don't know, you don't know what the guy does behind what he called. And since I guess well, I guess where the Rambam lived at the time anyway, maybe it was similar to where we live at the time, right? That you have to. There's a lot of people who in the United States, it's very if there was a guy who was teaching the children, right? And you would say, oh, do you know he's a homosexual? Okay, it's not. It wouldn't be like a shocking thing, even like, and like let's say if you said, did you know he's a murderer? You know. Oh well, wait, what? He's a murderer. I'm saying my kid a
Homosexual
murderer.
doesn't mean he's a rapist.
The
Like,
fact that the fact that a guy's what's it called? It's very common in the U.S. today.
right, and I was saying, just because he's homosexual doesn't mean he's a rapist. Again, we're talking about
No,
the whole thing.
but here's the
It's
thing.
not that it's not, but by yichud, we're not saying, we're not expecting people to be on their worst behavior, but we're protecting from.
We're saying not only
natural
that
inclination.
is we're protecting from being drawn to sin. Why put somebody in a situation? So when you have if you have somebody, you know, in a regular case where you say, okay, where there's no reason to believe that this person is drawn after males, then okay, so then why you were not worried he's going to be drawn to sin? However, says the Rambam that by goyim, they are all suspect of being drawn to males. V'hakusim muzhorin al hazachar dichsiv b'dovak b'ishtei v'lei b'zachar. The kusim, however, are careful about the males. What is it? Why? Because it says that he should cleave to his wife and not to his husband. Cleave to his wife. So he says, no, it's not. It's nothing to do with that you're worried about that he's going to be. And by the way, a lot of this could have to do with where the Rambam lived and what was normal at that time, and where the Ramah lived and what was normal at that time. Right? Because maybe during the Rambam's time that was a more normal thing. During the Ramah was like, if you think about like Europe in the Middle Ages sort of thing. It's
we're in Germany.
It's part of the Christian what do you call it? Also that mishchov zachar, right? Like
right, not to be
right. Homosexual relations is forbidden by them also. So I guess by the Ramah there wasn't perhaps this influences how they look at this differently. So he says, no, it's you're worried about he's gonna draw him to heresy. That's what we're worried about. And this is also the words of Rashi in the first chapter of Avodah Zarah. Even though even a grown-up is not allowed to be together with a guy by himself, a grown male. Why? Because you're worried that you alone with him that he's going to try to murder the Jew. Again, it's very interesting because all these different opinions it would seem like they're taken from different periods of Jewish history, and that's why they had this view on it, perhaps because there were certain points in Jewish history, if you were in Ukraine in certain points in what do you call it, and you were alone with the Ukrainian, you'd have to worry he might kill you, and therefore there's since you have to guard your life, so they're careful not to be even a grown up with a. So you have to say that what we're talking about here, I feel even where you have, like for example, generally speaking, in America, you're not worried about every guy you come in contact with might want to kill you. It's right. This isn't Ukraine in 1940. So must be talking about in such a case where you're not worried about the shlichus damim. We're not talking about that. Let's say that's not something we're worried about. And let's say also, I guess we're not talking about a place where homosexuality is rampant also. So then what are we worried about? But a non-grown up, right? A child, you're not allowed to today time me. He says today time me because of two reasons. Minus, right? Either he might try to convert him to heresy, which means I guess if it's a Noachide, it wouldn't be a problem. If he's a Noachide, you wouldn't be really worried that he's gonna try to
right.
And furthermore, Noachide, you wouldn't be worried about homosexuality either, right? So
Right,
he says
you-
so he says right. So he says basically by a grown up, you're worried about where applicable about murder, about they have you alone in the forest, they're gonna try to kill you. They can get away with it, right? My children were worried about the other two reasons, which is you're worried about that he's gonna try to teach him the wrong ways, and Mishko Zachar. 1 second, we have one more line. It says the Beis Shmuel in Mesim Tinik, we don't give the child. So even he basically repeats what the Chalkas Mechekik said on his last line, that even when it's when you're not worried about murder and therefore a grown up is no problem, but Mikol Makom Katan Aser, but a child is a problem. He Shema Yimshach Minus, because maybe he's going to try to draw him after heresy and teach him non-Jewish ways. Next time we continue by Hey. Let me. How do I close? How do I close? Oh, Chaim, can you?